Hello, everyone. How's it going today? How's it going today? I'm gonna quit my stream timer. Hi. Hi, everyone. Yeah, so today we're hanging out. We're doing, what are we doing today? We are finishing up the last, I think, 2 recipes from the Block Developer Cookbook that we were working on last week. So last week was the longest stream I ever did. It was actually it was a lot of fun. So if you were able to hang out, I appreciate that. But yeah, today I think we're gonna finish these 2, and then I'm going on vacation for a week. So there's that. Yeah, cool. So let's get right into it here. So I did this briefly, I think, in the last week, but I wanted to just show what I'm using here. So I'm actually using WordPress Studio, and it is pretty cool. So I'm set up here. Pretty straightforward to create sites. It's got, so if I were to, I should just open this site. So it supports SSL, it supports custom domains. It's really cool. One thing that is extremely cool about it, which is something that's a lot of fun, is you can actually sync directly to your site. So I'm connected to my WordPress.com account, and if I had a site that was connected with this particular one, I can actually connect it live site and then retrieve, like, do pushes and pulls. So I have my actual site connected here. So if I wanted to pull down all the data from this particular site here, I could do that locally, and I could push stuff back up, which is really cool. And there's this concept of sort of like a selective sync too. So let me see, is this the one that might be connected? Okay, so I have this, so this is my actual live site. So I can actually retrieve information back from it, which is pretty cool. So all the data, I can just pull it down, and now I can actually ask if I just want to get files and folders, what within those files and folders, plugins, themes, uploads, all that sort of stuff. So this is really cool for working locally. I think it's great. So I have a copy of my Block Developer Cookbook site local that I work on, that I make changes to the theme and stuff, and if I want to retrieve the information that's up there, if I want to get the latest thing that I just pushed up, sorry, what am I saying? If I want to get the latest recipe that I built, I can retrieve that. It's pretty neat stuff. But one thing I really love is this previews link. So when you're connected to your WordPress.com account, you can create a preview site. And it exists for 7 days. So, like, for example, for the Block Developer Cookbook live stream, I can create a preview site. So I'm just going to do that. and do that right now. And what this will do is this will basically take everything that I have going on locally, all of this stuff, all of these posts and everything. Oof, running a little on the slow side today, maybe because I'm creating this archive up a bit. Yeah, so once that's live, oh, okay, well, there you go. Preview site failed, so it's over 2 gigs. I wonder why it's over 2 gigs. Maybe I have just too much going on. Okay, well, there we go. I should let the studio team know. Oh my god, have I just broken this thing now? What is happening? I'm gonna open the Gutenberg. Well, this isn't good. Okay, let me just quit Studio, and I will get Studio back up and running. Not the best demo, Ryan. Let's try again. So we're starting this site, stopping. Let's get this going. There we go. That looks better. Okay. Well, anyways, I didn't realize that there's a 2 gig limit, so I may just have a lot of stuff going on in here. Probably a lot of. Oh, you know what it probably is? I bet it's the node modules. That's my guess, because we have a lot of plugins running with a huge amount of node modules. So that's probably part of it. Anyways, let's get back to it. So I can just put this away now. So we're using Studio. Okay, so let's see what the first recipe is going to be. So this is the creating dark and light mode block. Okay, and this, I'm going to zoom that in. so we're gonna cook up a custom block that toggles light and dark mode using the interactivity API, and then it'll allow us to switch between color schemes effortlessly with our preference saved to user meta, or to a cookie if they're not. That's pretty cool. Now I think, oh, I don't even have cursor running. Embarrassing. So let's get that up and running. Oh, you know what? You can do that right from Studio, which is kind of fun. So I can just open this entire thing right from Studio. I'm just going to zoom that in and get that out of here. Set this up. I apologize, I was not ready. All right, so let's see. Now I think, if I remember correctly, I need the theme. I do. Okay, so this particular recipe, there is a we'll open this up in the new window. So there is actually a theme that I'm going to use. It's this 2024 dark mode. So I'm gonna copy that over here. And this is part of the repository that's there. So I'm just going to copy this into my themes directory. Should have themes in there. I do. Okay, so I'm going to close this now. Hey Carolina, welcome to the stream. I hope having an excellent day.
Oh great, it's Carolina Pona.
Oh great. Alright, so in my local site, I'm just going to go into my themes, make sure that 2020 there. So TT4 dark mode, I'm just going to activate that. Because this has got some of the stuff in there that we need for how it's working. Alpus Original, hello, good to see you. Yeah, so we're starting on the dark light mode block.
It's Alpus Original.
Yeah, we're starting on the dark mode block, dark light mode block. So in my, so with this theme active, is the theme active? Stand by. What is theme live active? Not editor. Oh, come on, right? Themes, dark mode. Okay, cool. So I have this dark mode thing out. So that's all the setup that we need to do. So now let's get into this. So I'm going to grab for the setup instructions here. We can copy and paste this npx command, which is using a custom. Where am I here? Okay, I'm going to go cd w content plugins. I'm going to generate this dark light mode plugin, which should scaffold it right into the old plugins folder here. And we should have dark light mode somewhere. Oh, it's asking me to proceed. Yes, please proceed. This is fun. So this is tied to the theme because Justin Tadlock and I were working on this, and he is very good at theming. I am not. So I harassed him to help me with this. And there's actually, we're using some pretty cool features in the theme setup here. So setting dark and light mode for a theme can be done a number of ways. So we're going to use the color scheme CSS property. So the repository comes with the TT4 dark mode theme that is a child theme of 2024. And so we're going to activate that, and then once it's active, we're going to open the dark light mode.php file, and we're going to add some fun stuff. So once this is still installed, so we'll just wait for that install, and I will drink some coffee. How is everyone today? Okay, so we should have dark light mode. We do. Let's jump over here. We're gonna go into the plugins because I always forget to enable the plugin. Okay, and then I think the next thing we have to do is we also have to make sure that we have our command running. So we're gonna cd into dark light mode, npm start, boom, build mode is happening, and there we go. Hi Cap, I see you.
Oh great, it's KevXB.
Oh great, I'm just so happy here. Cool. All right, so we're going to open darklightmode.php, which will be the sort of the root of the plugin here. You can see we have our code that's just registering the block type, and what we're going to be doing is we're going to before the theme can display the light or dark colors based on the browser setting, we need to add a color scheme property to the root. So we're going to add this code to output some CSS using the head hook. So what it's going to do is this is going to add this color scheme light dark to the site, and it should inherit with whatever's going on in the browser. Like, so so I have dark mode set up. Now, can I toggle this? How do I figure this out? Is it stage? No. I'm doing this display. Play. Yeah, so you can't see this, but I have it on off screen here, but I'm toggling light and dark mode at the OS level. And so the browser inherits that from the OS. So I'm on dark mode is off, dark mode is on. So that's nothing that this is doing, but what the CSS property doing is it's inheriting that. Now there is some setup in the theme that is sort of enabling that. I can show you that stuff too. So is it in here? Yeah, so it's using this like light dark function. So when it's light, it uses, I think, the first one. When it's dark, it uses the second one. Might be reversed. So it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool stuff. This is Justin Tadlock at his finest. He is an amazing, smart, eloquent, good-looking, amazing dude. Anyways, I don't know why I always have to make it about looks. I'm so vain. It's because Kevin's here. Oh, wait a second. I have to check. Is Bill with us today?
I am madly in love with you.
No. Kevin! Bill's not with us today. All right. He's there, but I don't know why he's not showing up. Anyways, I'll have to figure that out another day. Okay, so we've added that. That's the first step. Sweet. So the hook will add, so it basically just going to show us what it looks like here. Right, cool. So the next thing we're going to do is a block setup. So we're going to build a block that uses the interactivity API, or EAPI, as I like to call it, to manage its state and update the color scheme as needed. So we're going to open the block JSON file, and there's two things that we have to add in order to make our block interactivity API available. So that's already in there. Oh, right. So this is just, sorry. So this is the most important part. So if we don't do this, the block parser doesn't understand that this is supposed to be interactive, and so it won't add any of the data or the directives or anything like that. And this is actually the file that's going to be enqueued on the front end as a ES module. Right? Okay, cool. And then so in our build, we have two changes to the build. There is a experimental modules flag for each one. We need that in order to actually build that Vue.js file as a module and not as sort of like the standard way of doing that. So if we look at the way package JSON is, we have this going on here. So it's in there, right? And so when that builds, it creates it as a module, so it's a little bit different. Now there is some, you can't run blocks that are interactive and non-blocks that are interactive in the same build process, because it doesn't work. And I believe there is work being done on that, or there was work being done on that. So anyways, but we won't get into that too much. Okay, it's cool. So that's all in place now. So as part of the scaffold, the basic markup and styles are with the block. So we'll be updating this stuff moving forward. So it's just a button class, or you know, we'll just open it up in here. So if we look at edit, it's just a button. It's p tag. It's wrapped in a button and a span, and so on and so forth. This is all CSS and stuff. Why is that div there but a p there? Might have to update that. Interesting. Should probably just be a div. I'm gonna change it to div. Doesn't really matter on the back end so much. It's more the front end that matters. But anyhow, okay, cool. So we'll fix that up. Cool. All right. And so in the instance, so we're going to instance. Okay. So let's insert. I can't talk with the words. We're going to edit the site. We're going to go into the pardon me. We're going to go into the header. We're going to get started. We're going to go in here. We're going to edit the header. Edit the header. I'm going to insert a block, and let's call it dark light mode. Boom. It's right there. That looks horrible, but we're going to fix it. We're going to fix it in just a second. There it is. And we're going to do, hello, oh, it's not in there. I want it to be beside the navigation. There we go. Save. And then we'll just go back to the site here and look at that. So now we have this little toggle. Now it's not doing anything, but if I come back over here to my display, we should be able to see that it actually, all the CSS and everything is all just in there and it's handling it well. So cool. So that's in there. Nice, done, sweet, wicked. All right, so now let's start adding the interactivity API. So we open up the Vue.js file in here. We'll have a really basic store. Excuse me. So we import store from the WordPress interactivity, and then you're gonna see almost every store set up like this, where this is the name of the store, and then there's these objects. It's an object of object, and these are named. These names don't really matter, but there is a best practice around how we name these things. So we have something called state, and that handles all state things, including like returning state, generating state, creating derived state, stuff like that. We have actions, which are things that are usually user initiated. So it's a callback for like when I click a button, it'd be in this actions object. And then we have callbacks, and callbacks is the same as an action, except it's programmatically done. So if you were to like add a directive that is watching something, you'd put it in callbacks. So that's kind of the way that you should think about this mentally, is that actions are user initiated, while callbacks are usually like a use effect or something that's kind of just happening, like an onload, that kind of stuff. So non-user initiated stuff. There's some gray area there. But anyways, that's kind of what the idea is, right? And there's a ton of directives here, right? We're going to add some directives here, but if you want to look at them all, oops, that was not what I wanted to happen. We can look at all the directives here. Then there's a bunch. I'm going to zoom that in, and I'm also going to just drop this into here. All right. Cool. So, okay, so we're going to add our first directive. So this directive is the one that basically tells, this connects this markup to the block. So without this directive being added, sorry, it's not the right place. The block parser will not do what it needs to do to make this God, cursor scruff. It will not make it interactive, is the words that I am failing to say out loud. Cool. So we have that here, right? I formatted that. It's a little bit easier to read. Cool. So the next step. So this value is the name of the store that is being connected to this particular block. So this has to match. So this matches the name of the store that we had out over here in render. So that's got to be the same. Otherwise, those dots do not get connected. Cool. So now that we have that, we can add two more directives. We need, so we're gonna add two directives here. I'm just gonna drop them in, and then we'll talk about them. So we're doing this on the, oh, I'm sorry, I put that all on the wrong spot. This should have been on the button, right? So we're gonna do it on the button there. This can actually be in either place. This can be anywhere. But for my example, I put it in the button because really the button is the place where it's going to be. So this, any of its children, wherever we put this, any of its children will also be part of that store. And same with context. There's a context one. So this should work, and we'll test this to make sure it does. But so we're going to do two things. So we're going to use WP data-wp-bind, and so this is going to say bind whatever attribute is after the double dashes to to something. So what we're doing is we're going to bind the aria pressed attribute to whatever the value of state.dark mode is. So it's going to be true or false. And then we're going to bind, we're going to use data WP on, and on the click event, we're going to run this particular action, which we haven't defined yet. So the way so you're probably seeing a pattern here. So when we have bind is sort of like the function name. I like to think of it like this. So bind is the function name, and this is the parameter that is passed. So if you were like jQuery, like it'd be like this is like add event listener and then the name of the event listener sort of thing. But it's not an event in any way, shape or form. So this is just this is the directive, and then we're going to use this as the attribute that is being bound to whatever the value of this is. And then same here. So when this is an on event, when something happens, and this could be on load, on focus, on blur, on click, on whatever, And then this is the event that we're going to react to. And then when a click happens, it's going to run the actions.toggleMode function, which we haven't defined yet. It was very convoluted. I'm sorry. Haven't had enough coffee yet. Yeah, so we're going to jump over to Vue.js, and we will do some add some things. So in our actions, we're going to add this function, this toggle mode function. So we'll jump in here, go into our actions. Now remember, we're adding it here because it is an action that is user initiated, right? So when we click that thing as toggling. So we're getting some errors here. And this is because when we define a store, we can actually destructure out all of these objects from it. So what we want to do is we're going to want to do state like that, right? So now we have action. Now we have access to the state that's being defined in here. And you're saying, well, there's no state defined. And I'm saying, you wait and we'll see what happens there, right? So we haven't defined any state at all, right? So the block should now toggle correctly. Because the toggle mode turns it on and off, but there's going to be some issues. So if we come over here and we toggle this, you see how it's working there. It's working just fine, but it's not changing anything, and that's cool. And so now we're going to fix this. So what we want to do is we're going to actually let me just show that. So if we inspect this and we look at the element here, we should see that. We have aria pressed. Let's see this here. So aria pressed is being toggled down here. So I was going to literally point with my finger at the screen. Ridiculous. So we know that this is working, right? So when the click is happening, it's changing the aria pressed, and so this is the binding, but this is the actual thing that's being updated in here, right? So we know it's working. That's good. So now we want to update the color scheme. So we're going to use data. We're going to use the watch attribute, or sorry, directive to handle that. So back in here, we're going to do this, right? So in our callbacks, we're going to create something called update color scheme, and we're going to see what that is all about. Oh yeah, look, div. Okay, so let's head over there, and we're going to go into our callbacks, because remember, this is a programmatically run thing. This is not something that the user does, right? So what we're going to do here is update. We're going to update the root element CSS property when the dark mode changes, right? So it skips if dark mode state is not yet initialized. So dark mode will be undefined if there's not a cookie or a user method. This is for a bit later. So this is just some stuff. So basically, what we're doing is this: we're getting the root. I don't know what you call that, attribute. I don't know what you call that. The button needs an accessible name like ARIA label. You know what? You're right, it does, and I'm pretty sure. Wait, I think somebody. It needs a label. So you know what is on it? Oh, interesting. I think I did something like that. I wonder if I just haven't added that yet. We might need to get there. If it's not added, then that's a really good point, Carolina, and I will add that. That's what I will do. Okay. So we got the, wait, where was I here now? Okay, so we got this color scheme. So if we run that stuff, this new color is going to run dark mode. It's going to change dark to state, and the color scheme changes either light or dark. Try it out, you might see the first. Okay, so let's refresh this. We click this. The first button doesn't do anything, but we're getting in there. I don't think it does come later. This is sparking something with me because I did this at WordCamp Asia, and someone had the same question, and there was a lot, and they did a pull request, and there was a lot of back and forth on this. But I'm certainly not fighting you on it. If anyone sees me making accessibility errors, please let me know, because it's an area that I am not strong enough in. I should be much stronger in that. Anyways, but I will. We'll figure it out. Cool. So we can see that it works, but the first one didn't. And that's because state dark mode is undefined. So we're gonna add another directive called the init directive. So what the init directive does is this runs like the first time. So if you're thinking, you can compare it to a use effect that runs when things load, right? And so let's go and see what init toggle looks like now. So in our init toggle, we're gonna grab that function. Again, it goes into callbacks because it is sort of programmatically initiated. I don't have any comments in there. So this is going to be state dark mode. It's going to be, we're going to look for window.matchMedia, and we're going to see if it prefers dark. And if it does, if that matches this, then it's going to return true. Otherwise it's false, and then we'll sort of know where we are with it, right? So this is going to give us the initial state. So if I refresh this, we can now see that it works. And it did take, it grabbed what my preference is. So I'm going to refresh this. Sorry, I just turned off light mode, and I'm going to refresh this now, and so see it's smart enough to figure out what my setting is on. Now, because I've toggled this and I'm making changes, it's not updating anywhere. So that might be something. That's actually something that I don't think I account for here, is if the user changes their setting outside of it. I don't believe it updates, but we'll see. We'll see how far we go. Okay, cool. So now the button is rendered. It'll show anything, and so it's working as we expect it to. So there's a couple. Okay, so now I would like to persist the setting. So it works, right? But it doesn't work if we were to go like this, and then okay, so it's not working, right? So as we navigate around, things don't work. That was weird. Did it work there though? Did it work there? Oh no, sorry. It's not working. It's not persisting across page loads. So that's the part that we're going to do next. So there's a couple of ways that we can do it, and we want to persist it somewhere. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to in order to persist changes, you'll need to store it. A number of ways you can do it. We're going to want to have available PHP available so you can output it in the heads tag that we hooked in earlier, right? So this part. So we're going to need to make some changes there. So we also want to handle logged in users and non-logged in users, right? So for logged in users, I'm going to use the REST API to save some custom meta. So we're going to set that up. So I'm going to add just another init hook down here at the in here. You could add it inside of this init hook. It's the same hook. Doesn't really matter, but I'd like to kind of keep my concerns separated a little bit. And all I'm doing here is registering a user meta called color scheme and just enabling it for the REST API and setting the type and all that sort of stuff. So it's just going to be color scheme. Right, now that that's in place, we're going to, what are we doing here? Now, add this helper function for the user. Okay, so we're going to create a little helper function here called get color scheme. This is going to help us retrieve the old color scheme. I'm going to put it up here because reasons. All this is doing is this is going to get the user meta of color scheme, and if the user is logged in and it's not empty, then we're going to use whatever that is. Otherwise, we're going to set it to light dark, and then we'll just return it. And then what we need to do, the next step is is we need to retrieve it and replace the hard-coded value in color scheme with this. So if I just grab, I'm just going to do this, and where's that? Okay, so in here, I want to retrieve whatever the color scheme is that the user has going on. Is there a mistake? No. And then I'm just going to replace the color scheme line, so it's no longer hard-coded. It's going to be whatever the user is, right? So I'm properly escaping things and doing the things, right? So now this should give us whatever the user wants, like whatever is set up, right? So now we're set up to retrieve the user setting. So let's use Vue.js to retrieve that. So we're going to update the toggle mode, right? And then we're going to I think I've missed a step here. Stand by. Toggle mode. Okay, cool. So let's do this. So we've done that. So we're going to set this up. So I'm just going to update toggle mode, and then we'll kind of talk through it. Basically, all I'm doing is checking this is logged in thing, right? And we're going to go in View, and so toggle mode. So we're still going to change whatever the toggle was, but we're going to then hit the REST API. We're going to get the user ID. We're going to change, if this is true, it's going to be set to dark. If it's false, it's going to be set to light. So, but there are some things that are missing here. Let's little state is logged in, state.user ID. So I think we're going to get to that in a minute. But before we can run this code, there's a couple of new items that we need to add. So we need state is logged in and state user ID. So we're going to get that from PHP because that's the only ways that we can get that stuff. So we're going to add this in our render.php file. So we're going to add it just up here, and I'll take us through it. So this is the initial color scheme, right? So we got that color scheme helper that we created, and then what we want to do is we're going to set up some initial state for our application here, our little app. And so this is coming from PHP. So this is our store name, and what we're going to do is this is going to get some initial state. So the user ID is going to get the current user ID, or 0 for non-logged in users, and then and that's what that returns. And then our color scheme is going to be whatever color scheme it is. So now that we have these available to us here, we can add some derived state to our state function, our state object here. So this is a JavaScript getter. So in state, we're going to plunk that in there. And so what this is going to return, this is what's called a derived state. So we're taking state that we know about, and we're creating some other state out of it. We're deriving new state from this. So this is going to basically be a true false thing. So if user ID is greater than 0, if you remember, 0 is like if the user is not logged in, that get current user returns 0. So if it's greater than 0, it means we're logged in, and so it's going to be true, and then otherwise it's false. So this is going to handle this particular issue, right? And then also state ID is going to be there for us. Now, if I run this right now, we're going to get an error, and I'll show you the error, and then we can talk about it. Right, so if I run this, I click this, broke all kinds of things. So this is because API fetch, it says API fetch is not a function. So the problem here is that we can't import, because we're using modules, because Vue.js is basically being compiled into an ES module, we can't use packages that aren't set up to be rendered as modules. If I were to import WP fetch, or sorry, API fetch here, I can just go import, right? And if I type it, import API fetch, and I look at the build process, it's broken, right? And it's because I attempted to use WordPress script in a module. So the problem there, if I were to do this now, it will generate. So we have some things that become a little bit harder to use when we're using modules, but and we almost always want to use the fetch package. So what we can do is, instead of trying to do it that way, you'll notice down here is I'm accessing it off of the WP global. So to get it in the WP global, we need to enqueue it. So we can enqueue that basically when the block is being rendered. So as long as we drop that inside of our render.php file, literally you can just drop it here, right? This will now enqueue that, and it will work. So if I refresh this, and I haven't lied to you, now it's working, and no error. So we can see that there's actually some network. So it's hitting the REST API, and so that's really important when you're working with the interactivity API. Is that you need to enqueue the packages that are not set up to be built as scripts, as ES modules, which is basically all of them at this point. I think there might be some work being done on some of them, but I couldn't tell you. I don't know the status of all of them, but I'm pretty sure most of them do not support ES modules yet. So we got that in place. All right, so the next part, now that there's initial value being stored, we don't want the setting from the browser to override that setting. So change the init toggle to check the color state color scheme if the user's logged in, or fallback is the browser's not. So we're just going to make some other changes here. So if we're logged in, dark mode is going to be whether or not if color scheme is dark, right? So otherwise we're going to use all that same logic that we had before. So we want to make sure that if I come in here and the sorry, what am I doing? I lost my train of thought here. We want to make sure that if the user makes a change, but they've also, if I've set this to light mode and then if I set it to dark mode but then set my system to light mode, I want my setting on the site to be the source of truth. Is what I'm trying to say to you right now. Okay? I don't want to go be that way. So the init toggle, it's updated like that. So again, we're just going to check status logged in. If you're logged in, then we're going to say whatever the value is, if that blah blah, and then we're going to otherwise just fall back to whatever's in there, right? And so we shouldn't see any changes here because I've persisted that, right? Yeah. So sweet. So anonymous visitors. The only thing left to do now is we need to accommodate for people who aren't logged in. And to do that, we're going to need to save a preference in a cookie instead of a user meta. So we're going to update the Vue.js to look like this. So I've just got some cookie goodness here. So I'm just going to, so this is all the same. I'm just going to add the else statement in here, which is just going to write a cookie. And I think it's probably, I think this cookie's a bit, where am I here? So if to do, and I'll just put the else in there. So this is like doing for the entire domain, which I think is okay in this case, but you may want to do other things with cookies. So you can save that to a cookie, right? And then we need to retrieve it from the cookie, so it works both ways. So we're going to grab all of this again, and we're just going to update our helper over here in dark light mode. So we're just going to do that. So it's doing the same sort of thing. A lot of code going here. So the cookie settings. So we're going to get is the cookie set. If it's set, we're going to use that value. Otherwise, it's this, and then user meta, and it's like if there's user meta. If the users log in and there is meta, we'll use it. Otherwise, we'll use the cookie setting. And the cookie setting, if it's set, we'll use it. Otherwise, we'll use this light dark. So it'll basically it's cascading down to basically light dark if none of this stuff is set for us. All right, that should be all we need to do there. Finally, we need to make a small change to init toggle to accommodate for cookies. So let's look at that. So we'll just we'll just update this. The if statement in there and stuff. So we have an if statement. So we want to check if state, if we're logged in or the state color scheme is light dark, then we're going to do this. It was not equal light dark, sorry. So we just want to check that. I think that's all we do. So now we should have this. So this is working for logged in, but we should be able to do this for non-logged in users as well. So I just did an incognito window. We'll do that. If I do this, so now we can see it's saving across page loads. Wunderbar. Yeah, cool. So that's it. That was kind of it. That's not kind of it. That is it. I want to look at was it the Block Developer Cookbook? There was a pull request that I'm gonna look at the closed pull requests. Yeah. Add accessible button text to the light dark mode. So there's a whole conversation about this. I knew someone had actually. Yeah, so take a look at this, Carolina. And I mean, if it's better to add it, I'll add it. This person had done a pull request to do like view in dark mode, basically to add some text there, right? Next, toggle between the global style variation. Toggle between the global style variations. What? What are we talking about? Like use that toggle to change global style variations? That's cool. Hey, Carolina, I have this concept of celebrity chefs on here. If you... Yeah. Just read through that text. It should say the opposite. I think this was the default, and then we would need to have the text bound to whatever the thing is. So I think there's... I mean, we can absolutely add this. It doesn't matter to me. I'm not against it for sure. It just looks like there was a big conversation over here in Mastodon where people were saying that's not actually something that we need to worry about. But I think there's a lot of text here. I don't know why he closed it. Well, now I'm feeling like I should have. Oh, maybe I merged it. Oh, you know what? I probably merged it and didn't update the code. An idiot. Let's look. I probably merged it and didn't update the create block package. Let's take a look here. Dark light mode. Let's look in files. Let's look in plugin. No, not plugin. Sorry. And source. We'll look in render.php. There it is. So there's some screen reader text in there, and then we'd need to change that to whatever. Okay. So should we implement that? Because this screen reader text doesn't need to change the text. It can just be view in dark mode, true or false. What do you mean it doesn't need to change the text? Like if it's in dark mode. Oh, I see what you're saying. It just needs to be. So there's some changes in there. So we need to add this. It can just need to change the text. It can just be view in dark mode, true or false. Pressed, not pressed states. Like this should be ARIA label, right? But names accessible name are like an ARIA label, so what we know what is on. Needs ARIA pressed attribute. It should have an ARIA pressed attribute already, doesn't it? It has ARIA pressed. Yeah, it's right here. So you're saying that I need data WP, like something like this? Which I don't even know if you can do that. Can you do ternaries in there? It does have ARIA pressed right here. Yeah, it does have ARIA pressed. So we just need the label then, I guess. Let's see what that does. Actually, now that I'm looking at this, let me look at this. I don't know if you can do ternaries in like that. Maybe you can. Maybe you can't. I don't know. Let's see. So ARIA pressed is true. So is there an ARIA label somewhere? Maybe that doesn't work. I think I might need to bind it. I'm going to do state, not state.label. Yeah, state.label, and then state.label, get label. It's going to be like that. So that should, state.label. So let's see, top of this. So there is an ARIA label like that. So you're saying that just that PR. Just adding this is all I need. All right? So that's all they're adding. They're not adding anything else to that. Only are they can have the screen reader text. But shouldn't this screen reader text change when just put it in there, right? Like, shouldn't that screen reader text change when This is not in dark mode. So I don't need that. I'm gonna put this in here, but shouldn't this say view in dark mode? JavaScript should not have. Yes, I understand. So I'm not going to do the label. So this just stays. Okay, so that's all I need. Just that. Okay. So I think that that solves the problem right there. All right, let me read that. Okay, thank you for putting up with my ignorance here. Oh, the button says pause. Do not. Oh, in this example. Okay, cool. Okay, cool. So the screen reader handles handles it. Okay, perfect. Thank you. Awesome. So someone did do this. I just made the mistake of not updating my create block template, which I will update and get live before the next time I do this. So thank you for the education there, friends. It says it shouldn't because it's based on ARIA Pressed. So I don't know. Okay, cool. I'm gonna move on to the next one. Thank you for putting up with my ignorance, friends. You're all amazing people. So this is the next one, the interactive API, the gallery slider. So this is a fun one. I really love this one. So okay, so I'm gonna come back in here. I'm gonna get my my things up. I'm gonna turn this off. Kill that CD out of there. Again, we're gonna use the standalone create block package, and I'm going to just run. Nope, I'm gonna just run it in there. Let that run. I really need to learn more about accessibility, and it's what is this? Oh man, I did this last time too. There's weird. It's missing the extra dash there, but it's actually not. Okay, so I'm gonna close this stuff down. While we're rambling on, I've actually just my YouTube channel. If you haven't gone to my YouTube channel, please go to my YouTube channel and check out the new. I have this new. It's the Block Developer Cookbook. I'm doing like an online. There's a playlist for it. It's for the recipes. It's basically all the live stream stuff that we've been doing. I'm chucking it out and putting it into recipes.
Hey everyone, I'm Ryan, and I'm so excited to.
Yeah, I'm Ryan. I really appreciate it. People just went over there and looked at these videos, watched them in their entirety, and hit the like and subscribe button. It would be immensely helpful for me. I would appreciate that. Anyways, okay, so let's see. Okay, so we're done. So we're gonna go CD into, of course, what's it called? Gallery slider. Nope. Gallery slider. Okay, cool. So we're going to npm start, and then we'll just hide this. Okay, cool. So we'll come in here. So the first step, so the block configuration. So blocks that use EAPI or the interactivity API need to have this interactivity set to true. So let's go take a look at what we have going on in block.json right now. So we don't have anything in there. So what we're going to do is we're going to add all of these things. Supports. We're going to add line wide. We're going to add some alignment stuff, but the most important thing is this. This align and line wide is just so the gallery looks cool. So we put that in place. We're going to add our view script modules, right? This is going to be done down here, right? Again, so this is going to be the front end JavaScript that gets loaded. And then the last thing that we have to do is we have to add the build, the experimental modules flag to the build and start process. Now, there have been some changes to the create block template in the sense of like now it does this blocks manifest thing. I'm gonna just remove it. So the blocks manifest is so you can have this thing get built. It generates a PHP array of all of your blocks. So if you have a plugin that has like 20 blocks, this actually makes loading blocks a lot more performant. because it's not loading all the block JSON and parsing the block JSON all the time. It's doing it through PHP, which is much faster. So it doesn't have to parse all that stuff. But I'm not going to use that for this because we don't need it. I also don't know. I'm assuming that if we were to just add it here, that it would work. But I don't have time for that today. So we're gonna mess around with that. I'm gonna need to update all of these things so it works with that anyways. Coolio. Okay, so that's that stuff. So the render.php. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna open this up. It should look like this, and let's see what the render.php looks like. So render.php, we don't need that anymore. It's pretty straightforward stuff. We got the markup is basically we have a slider, our content for the slider, and then we have a couple of buttons, and these buttons are gonna go left and right and do some things. Okay, cool. So, is that in there? What is that? I don't have that in there. 1 of 10. Weird. Okay, that's in there, but not in the code. Interesting. So the one thing that we are going to do is so now that we've enabled this, we want to add the data interactive directive that we were doing before. We're doing this to the outermost wrapper of the block, so we can add it there just like that. Thanks for sharing. Oh, thank you for sharing. Oh, you're talking to Carolina. Awesome. Okay. Oh, get what? What was that? Oh, I think my kid is watching something on his iPad, and sometimes it pops up here, and I can click on it. So I gotta be careful. Alrighty. Okay, so back in here, we're gonna go back in here. I'm going to go into posts and create a gallery slider post. Gallery slider, and I'm gonna just publish that for now. And then the other thing I have to do though is go and enable the old plugin. So we're gonna turn that off. I'm gonna turn gallery slider on. I don't think we have anything that we can actually show. Is there? Let's see. So there's a gallery slider. Real cool. Nothing to see there. Okay. So close this. Did it again. Close this. Okay. Cool. So do that. So now we have to define the store. I think there's a lot of boilerplate going on, especially when you do them one after another. So we've got our store set up. This right here is thanks to my good friend Kev. So we've got our gallery slider store again with the boilerplate. So we'll just kind of move on with that. So this talks through, like I was saying, this talks through the different objects. So state is the state of the store, right? Actions are things that are user initiated, and callbacks are things that are more programmatically run, like use effects type stuff. We also so there's a real important context, especially with the block that we're about to build. We're talking about state versus context, and so anything in state is available to every single instance of this block, while context will only be available to a single instance. So an example is if we were to mess with the current slide variable in state and provide an action to change it to the next slide, like this, what would happen is when we click the next button, the next image button, every instance of that block would change its current slide. And so that's not what we want at all, right? We want to be able to have that be available and discrete across all block instances. So we're going to do that by defining a bit of context. So in our render.php file, we're going to create a big old array. All right, so in render, we're up in here. We're going to create this array. This is going to be our data. So we're going to have slides, which is just going to be an array. We're going to have a total, the current slide, and we're going to have a total number of slides. And this is going to be stored as state with this, as context with this. So what we need to do is, I think this got me last time too. So data WP context. Echo data.wp context. So what we're going to do is we're going to plunk that. Oh, come on. Right. Sorry, where did I put that? Okay, it's right after the store thing. We're going to do this, and we're going to do that. Get out of here. And that's not. See, this happened to me last time, and I thought I updated this, but I'm an idiot, and apparently I did not. So it's. It is not that. It is WP Interactive. I'm just going to do a search for here. That's it. So this is what we need. Okay. I thought I updated that, but apparently I did that. So that is the function that we need. WP Interactivity Data WP Context. That's the name of the function that we need to run. And so when we run that now, we should have lots of. Yeah, I know. Shut up. So you can see that we should have some context defined in here now in our thing. So in our context, so we have slides, we have current slides, we have total slides. So that's available to us, right? Okay. So now we've got context. That means that every single one of these blocks has its own sort of internal memory, and come on, click on the wrong thing. Okay, internal memory. So we have that in place. That's cool. Where am I now? Okay, so now that we have the context, now we can change the active slide. So let's go to our Vue.js. In our actions, we'll add a couple of functions in here in Vue.js, right? I'll just save that. So we're going to console log previous image, console log next image. And then what we need to do is we need to add a couple of directives here. So on our next and previous buttons, we're going to add actions for the previous slide and for the next slide. So I'm just going to paste this. So if we jump over to render, in here, we're going to add a directive for that, and add a directive for that, and this is going to be next slide. Right, this is the stuff that we just created. So in here we've got previous slide, next slide, and this is just going to console log stuff for now. So if I refresh this and inspect it, I should. That needs to go away. That also needs to go away. I should click this and have nothing happen. Did that not build? What? Doesn't make any sense. Oh, what's this? Failed to load script module. Expected script or wasn't. But never responded with mine to the text experience. Let's just. Oh, you know what I think it is? I don't. I know what it was, because I added that flag after I built the. So I started. This is gonna work now. Yeah. So I started the build process before I added the experimental modules flag. So it was building it as a non-ES module. That was the problem. There's some stuff I need to fix in this recipe. Clearly, it's the whole point of doing this. I'm gonna have to redo this one for the YouTubes. Okay, so that's working the way and we wanted it to work. Cool. So the next step is to get better at my job, and then after that, we're going to continue along here. So okay, cool. So now what we want to do is we're going to we've connected the buttons, but we need to update the current slide property that was defined in rendered PHP. So we can access there's a function called get context, and what that'll do is that'll allow us to retrieve the context from this instance of the store. So sorry, let me just hide that. So what we're going to do is we're just going to update these, and I'll talk this right here. So our previous slide and next slide. So what this is doing is this is just a weirdly named variable for context. So we're going to get the context. We're going to get the context current slide, and we're going to decrement it by 1, and next slide is going to increment it by 1. So that will do all of that stuff, right? Okay, and so that's going to change the slide, but we don't want to test it in the console. So let's create a new let's create a new binding so we can actually move the slides. So on the slider container div, we're going to add this in render.php. So we got the slider container. We're going to add this thing. So what this is doing is this is going to bind a style, specifically the transform property, to whatever state.currentPos is, right? And state.currentPos is going to be a bit more of a complicated function, right? So we're going to grab this. That's janky. We're going to go to state.currentPos. Oh wait. Right, let me just get the get current pause function. I need to fix this thing. I don't know what's going on here. Okay, so this is going to spit out the current slide, state the current slide, and it's going to, all we're doing here is we're translating on the x-axis the current slide times 100 minus, right? So it's going to just move it left and right, basically. We don't have any slides in there, so now if I come over here, you shouldn't see much, but we should see current slides. I'm pointing with my finger again. Current slide is 0, current slide is -1, -2. That's not good, but you know, now we're up. So the slides are being incremented and decremented as expected. Gonna get rid of this console. Don't think we need that. So this is just doing some CSS magic, but it's not real magic, but the CSS stuff behind the scenes. Okay, all right, cool. So we're using this is a JavaScript getter. So what we're doing is we're just going to access it. So when we access it in render.php, we don't call it like a function. We just access it. Where is that thing? We just access it like this, right? So it's going to know to run that as a function. It being the interactivity API, it's going to figure that out for us. Okay, so we save and test the block. We see. Okay, so we should add some slides here. So my gallery slider supports a couple of blocks. I'm going to do I'm going to do a cover block. Medium library. Have anything? There we go. Cool. We'll do that. Hi. That's sweet. And then we'll add a cover block just to make it nice and simple. We'll use this color and we'll do this and we'll hit save. And if we come over here, we should have some slides moving. Slides are moving. There we go. But slides shouldn't move so much, but they are moving. Okay, cool. So we have moving slides. Yay! Okay. The function is creating some derived state. Save and test the block. You should see the slides moving. The issue is now that we can keep clicking, so we have to put some guardrails around that, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to use we're going to use the bind directive to disable these blocks when they need to be disabled, right? So basically, we're going to do something like this for each one of these buttons. Sorry, I think I said blocks. For each one of these buttons, I'm going to start doing this just to make it a little easier to read. All right, and put that in there. All right, I forgot the. I'm gonna just break that out. Break that out. Yep, that's fine. There we go. Save. Cool. So we got no previous slide, no next slide. Oh wow, cursor really just kind of figured that out for me. So what it's going to do is when the state returns this as a true value, that we're going to bind to this attribute. So disabled will be set to true when there's no previous slide. Disabled will be set to true when there's no next slide. When the opposite of that happens, obviously it'll switch to true. I don't know. This is in here, and I'm going to just put it in here because I don't know if I missed it, but whatever. We'll see. add the new functions to our state. So we're going to get no previous slide, we're going to get no next slide, and we'll kind of walk through that. So in here, we're going to add more state. So again, we're using some getters. So this is no previous slide. If current slide is equal to 0, there is no previous slide. If current slide is equal to total slides minus 1, because it's an array, we are going to disable that. Well, actually, if it's yeah, it's for, yeah, math. Right. Okay. So the no previous slide, no next slide, return true or false based on the inner logic. But now we're not tracking the slides in our store. So what we need to do is we're going to add a total slides function, like in render.php, so we can test this. So this is trying to get total slides from context. Well, we don't have that in here. It's set to 0 right now. So I'm just going to set this to say 5. Or actually set this to 2, right? Exactly. So in here, I don't know what that is. So I have 10 slides. So you can see that now this is disabled because I have 2 slides. So this button is disabled. I cannot do anything with it. This button now becomes also disabled because there's no previous slide. So we can do that. Now let's make, first thing we should do is make sure that this is set to false or to 0. And then we're going to initialize the slides. So the slides for our slide are core blocks. We're limiting it to the cover, media, text, and image blocks. We could do that anything you want. We could try to count the blocks using a query selector, but it can get complicated. But so instead, let's have the slides. It'll initialize themselves by calling a function from our store, which is fun. So we're going to add a new function to the callbacks called initialize. Or sorry, init slide. So we're just going to grab this. We're going to put it in callbacks because that's where it goes. Because a user is not doing anything in this. So what we're going to do, we need to pull this out of here too. There's a get out element. I think I explained that. But so the init slide, what it's doing is it's getting the context. It's getting a ref of the element that is basically calling it, right? So it's going to get a reference to itself. It's going to push that reference onto our slides, and then it's going to update the total slides to whatever the slides array is length, right? And then we're going to just return a function that executes when the element is removed from the DOM. This is probably not going to happen, but just so it gets cleaned up, right? So that's our helper, or sorry, that's our init. But now, did my keyboard just die? Oh my god, my keyboard just died. Holy crap. Let's see. There we go. We're back. Oh, wait, did I switch it to... I think I might have switched it to Mac. Or to PC. Oh my sweet lord, what's going on here? That moment when you get old and your eyes don't work anymore and you have to use your phone to zoom in and read something. If I can find it, or is it? Okay. We'll get... Why? What the absolute shit's going on here? Hey, my keyboard's not working. Why is it doing that? Come on, man. Okay. It's got these tiny little buttons on the side that say Mac and Windows, and then you can switch it between. It's a Bluetooth keyboard, and then switch it. Anyways, whatever. Well, we'll edit this all in post. Okay, where were we? Okay, so we got that. So now we get to let's get into some fun things here. So what we can do is we're going to use the render block hook. And what we're going to do is it's a combination of the render block hook and the HTML API, the tag processor to be specific, to add the things that we need to add. So in our main block file in here, I'm gonna add this. Okay, and so what this is going to do is this is going to, yeah. So this is going to add a render block to my gallery slider, right? And then inside the gallery slider, so it's going to get the block content, right? And then so we have a list of allowed blocks. So we've set this for each one of these blocks, right? And then we're gonna create our tag processor from the block content. We're gonna iterate through all of these tags, and what we're gonna get the class list, and then we're gonna check inside the class list to see if any of these classes are on the sort of root level of the inner block, and if they are, we're going to add these two attributes. Now, technically, we don't even need to add this one because anything that is a child of this. So because we've set that at the outer level, we don't need to set it again on the inner level. We just need to add this data.wp init and then callbacks init slides, and then it's going to get the updated content and return that content. So that should initialize the blocks for us. So now we should see. So now it knows how many slides it has, and so if I add another slide to it, it'll be smart enough to figure that out. So let's do this. We'll hit save. All right. So now it's initializing every slide it has. It initializes it. So it's nice and cool. It's very reactive in that sense, so we know exactly what the heck is going on there, right? Okay, cool. So what's the next step we have in here? So that works. So block attributes in JS, we have a control to continuous. Okay, so that's what we're going to do here. So if we look in the edit.js, we have these slider controls. So we can set this in sort of continuous mode, right? If we look over on here, we have this thing, we'll set it to continuous mode. So it'll just continuously loop, right? So we've enabled that, and then we need to pass this value into our store. So let's add all the block attributes to our context array. Which we're already doing. So in our context array in render, we have the block attributes that get passed to this file when it's in queued, or when it's loaded, I'm sorry. And then so we have this. Now we want to check. Now we'll have access to the attribute called continuous, which was in block.json in our store, so we can update the accordingly. Let's just make sure block.json does have continuous. It does. It's a Boolean. Yay, great success. So we're going to add a couple of things here. So basically, if continuous is set to true, then we should never have to this stuff will never stop, right? So this is always going to be false, because that's because without that did I capital? No. Right, so this is going to make sure that those slides always happen, right? Or the buttons never get disabled. But what we also want to do is we're going to want to check in the next image, we're going to need to do some logic in there as well. Previous. I swear to God, I've updated this. So if it's continuous and current slide is 0, then we're going to set the current slide to the sort of the last slide, right? And then on the other side of that, we're going to do the opposite. If continuous is true and the current slide is equal to the last slide, then we're going to set it to the first slide, and it's just going to keep rotating through, right? So we should be able to test this. This should, okay. So we should now have this just continually go through, right? Which is kind of cool. And so this is a bit of a thing now. So let's add that. So so in our render, we've got basically this stuff, right? So inside of this, I'm going to do a span, I think. Span. And we're going to put the 1 in there. and then I'm going to do a span, also another span snap, a span around the 10. Perfect. And so we're gonna data dot wp dot, I think it's text. I think it's text. Right? And so what this should do, I think this will work. We should be able to bind this to the state. Oh, how would we do that here now? So we gotta get, oh yeah. So we're gonna get current slide. So it'll be get current slide, right? And then we'll do a get total slides, right? So what this is going to do is this is going to return basically these our current slide and total slides from the values, right? So let's add that. So we're going to bind the text to state dot current slide, right? And that's going to bind it to state.total slides. I have a feeling there's going to be some kind of weird logic in here. There we go. So there's 3 slides. So this is obviously wrong. So what we need to do is we need to, so what is that? Look at 0, 1, 2. So that's okay. So all we have to do here is in our logic is we're going to say get the current slide plus 1. And cursor already figured it out for me. Beautiful math. So this is the current slide. Boom, 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 and it's working. And the cool thing is, I guess that kind of flickers a little bit, doesn't it? So what we can do there is we can add, oh, it's being derived. So why? Oh, I know what we can do. We can use what was the last one that we just did? The dark light mode. The dark light mode, what we'll want to do there is we'll want to actually use, in render.php we use this this interactivity state. So we're going to probably want to add some state here, right? And the state's going to be current slide. No, that's going to be wrong. No, I mean everything kind of flickers. So I mean maybe it's just the way, it's just the page load I'm seeing. So yeah, cool. I think that's kind of it. So there is a more advanced version of this. I did take the more advanced version has some other things in it. Like for example, it's got like a swipe. Like if you do like if you're on mobile and you swipe left and right, it does add some key commands to do the same. But I actually that was an accessibility concern about adding key downs to move the slides when you can just do that with like regular screen reader stuff. So cool. Well, this one needs a little. I have to update this. I swear to God, I've updated this post a number of times. But maybe I'll just take a look at some of these things right now because that function always gets me. What is this? What is this? Kevin. Why
oh, you made a wise choice, my friend.
Oh, Scoom, thanks for the follow. Thanks for the follow. Kevin, your blocks are breaking. What's going on? This is super embarrassing. I did this one at WordCamp Europe, and this function failed, and I was like, huh? Like total deer in the headlights. Deer in the headlights. Deer in some headlights. Deer in your headlights. Why not? I have to, why, Kevin? Why am I attempting recovery on all your blocks? What's going on here? Uh-oh, I was right. I don't know. Maybe let me look at the. Do you want to see the error? I wonder if it's because. Oh, yeah. So it's definitely that's the problem. Yeah. I don't... Did I just update this? Did I just update your plugin? Oh my god. I need to go back through this and do all of the cool stuff that Kevin helps me with. Like all the blur stuff is really, really, really cool. Like I can come here and be like, what is it? What should I do here? So like, for example, I can highlight, I can grab this and I can go, what is it? Line settings, line blurring, boom. And then I can focus on lines like 3 to 6, no, sorry, to 5, for example. What is it, 8 to 12? There, see? That's so cool. So it's just highlighting the stuff that I've changed. I really like it. I really like it a lot. Wait, did I not? I just changed that. What is happening here? Okay. Kevin, I was so close to just blaming your plugin for doing this, and then I realized, no, it's because I'm an idiot. I need to update it in a few different places. So let's see, is there anywhere else around that thing? Reveal on hover, that's cool. Yeah, I you know what would be actually, Kev, do you know what would be a really cool little feature? Is if you're looking at this, for example, right? And so the thing I just blurred out, which is where? This thing. So it'd be really cool if when I click this, oh wait, does this do this now? I'm assuming no, but it'd be really cool if copying would only give me the stuff that's not blurred. That would be super cool. I don't know. That would be a cool thing, or at least an option. That would be very, very, very cool. All right, friends. Thank you so much for hanging out with me and watching me fight through these recipes. And teaching me about and teaching me about accessibility and stuff. I have to go. I'm going on holiday with my wife. We're gonna go see a concert tonight, and then I'm going camping with the kid, and it's gonna be great. One of my kids. It's gonna be great, and you won't see me for a few weeks. But there's a couple more episodes in the pipe. If you saw the live stream, then it's just cut downs of that for the Block Developer Cookbook. But yeah. But it's been great. It's been fun. Thanks for hanging out. And I'll see you. I'm going to WordCamp US. I don't know if anyone else is. If anyone's going to WordCamp US, make sure to come say hey. Apparently, I'm. Oh yeah, you will be? Nice. That's great. Well, make sure you find me, or I'll find you, or one of us. Well, I'm just gonna scream, Alpus Original at the top of my lungs until you find me. And. This is hilarious, but apparently, so WordCamp US, let me just show, if you're going to WordCamp US, you have got to do this. Snooze, where's this thing? So, this thing. So, I posted a video doing this, 5-second video saying your name, why you coming to WordCamp, all that sort of stuff. And somebody pinged me about it, and I'm gonna be on the right share screen, so you might see me in Uber. If you do, please just take a picture or a video or something so I can see it. I'm hoping that I can run into it, but you should do this. Get your face on all the Ubers in Portland for the next couple of weeks. Anyways, on that note, I'm gonna let you all go. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. I'm not streaming next week because I'm away, but I will be back with a vengeance the week after. All right, peace. I can't believe I did that. I've never done that in my life. I'll never do it again. See y'all later. Bye.